Hey, Define Nation, this is Danielle, and you hear me talk a lot about nutritional density on my show. You guys all know the most important essential nutrient is water, but so many of us take it for granted. For me and my family, only one name in water will do, and that's e-water. Since having my home system installed, my whole family has tasted and felt the difference. Who knew my favorite beverage could be better? One of the most surprising aspects is in the shower. My pores feel more open and skin more alive. It really is a unique feeling. Water is the most important element for life, so don't let another day pass without enjoying it to the fullest with eWater home filtration systems. Visit them today at ewater.com. That's EWATER.com.
We could be
What's up, Define Nation, and welcome to another episode of Define Your Health with Danielle Girdano. Strength through knowledge. And Define Nation, I gotta say, these are my favorite shows to do. We have an awesome co-host, Phillip Crum, today, who's joining us from Speedy Printing. And we're taking your questions today. These are questions that you guys have either tweeted, posted on Facebook, or emailed into us about shows that we have done in the past. And maybe you guys, had some follow-up, need a little bit more clarification. Well, I am going to take those questions today. But first, Phillip, thank you so much for coming, sir. And thank you, and Sir Speedy, for being a very proud sponsor of the Highway for Health Project and really getting involved in the community, paying it forward, and making a positive impact on the world.
Well, you're quite welcome. I'm glad to be here. I pretty much, I generally show up whenever there's food involved, so.
I might have some Kind bars or Pop Chips around here somewhere. You never know
I like
what I
that
can
stuff,
pull up.
actually.
So tell us a little bit about the Sir Speedy location. If I'm not mistaken, it's the 10th largest, and I've been there. It's just a massive facility.
5th largest, please.
Fifth
Single
largest.
digits.
Single digits.
Thank you. I've been there 22 years.
Wow.
When I found my employer, Jim Quinn, he was 3 years into the venture. He had bought a previously owned shop, and his first month in business, he did about $360. That's how badly it had been.
Wow.
Run down, yeah.
Scratch.
You betcha. And now this year we'll end up doing 3.5 million this year. So we do all right. We do everything for small business is our target, and we do everything from offset printing or think business cards up to all things online. Offline, online, think integrated. We have people that understand that, can do it, can help you do it. You name it. If it has to do with advertising or marketing a small business, we probably do it.
Well, and people are going to be able to see your wonderful work because you guys are actually doing the car wrap that is going to be on the PACE vehicle for the Highway for Health Project. You've done amazing cards for us, nice looking banners. So people have definitely already seen your work if they follow us. But I'm excited about the car wrap because that's kind of a new addition to what you guys do, correct?
Well, it is. It is. In the world of large format or wide format printing, which is what it's called, you can do a lot of things, and wrapping vehicles is one of them. And it's a special little corner of the market all by itself because, it just is. You have to know a lot about vehicles and their shapes and how vinyls go on and don't go on and so forth. And it takes some extra people to do it with some very specific experience. So, yes, we just recently acquired my son's business, Stonewater Graphics, which is where you met him.
Yes.
And so now he's part of our tribe, or he will be as soon as he gets out of the hospital. So
yes,
other
he had
than that,
an unfortunate accident.
Well,
we do wish him well. We're
thank
so
you.
sorry to hear
He'll
about
be
that.
fine. He'll be fine. He's a strong fellow. But he's going to head up our whole large format department, including all of the vehicle wraps and graphics and such. So we're looking forward to that. In fact, we're adding an additional 3,200 square feet to a very large operation already. I think we have about 7,000 square feet right now, so we'll be in the neighborhood of 10. But
you're going to have your own zip code pretty soon.
We are. I'm actually angling for that right now.
Is that
Talk to the Addison Post Office and see what you can get.
That's good.
Right.
Get our own street here.
You never know.
Maybe.
You never know. So,
All
there we
right,
go.
Phillip. Well, let's jump in. You pick whatever question that you would like to go first, and let's see who's talking to us and what they have to say.
All right, let's see. Who do we have? Becky from Arlington. Becky from Arlington, Texas. Yes, you're the grand prize winner. Yeah.
Confetti's falling.
Becky wants to know,
Uh-oh.
can you explain why and which type of omega is beneficial for your brain?
Absolutely, I can. Talking about omegas is something that I'm passionate about. Primarily, you have two different types of beneficial omegas, although there is a wide range, but primary two that we've talked about on the show, and that's EPA and DHA fats. Now, EPA is something that is associated with heart health. So when you hear people say, oh, I'm eating salmon because it's heart healthy, they want to get those good EPA fats. DHA, however, is a different type of fat that is primarily what your brain is made out of. So if someone ever calls you a fathead, Phil, you say, yep, that's right.
Good.
It's a compliment because your brain is made of DHA fat. So keeping that fat tissue inside of the brain nice and supple, supplying it with new, fresh DHA fat is absolutely crucial, not only to cognitive development, which is why it's so important for kids as they develop, but also for longevity of cognitive awareness. Now, I'm talking about things like prevention or slowing the progression of things like Alzheimer's, different types of dementia, cognitive impairments, that type of issue. Now, motor unit and resistance training plays a role in that, but keeping that good DHA fat supple is really, it's crucial. It's something that you need to be intaking every single day. If you're not getting it through direct food sources, the only brand that we trust is Nordic Naturals. That's what we suggest out to Define clients. It's a non-GMO fish oil supplement. They make a DHA and an EPA specific, but they have a wide range of different formulas.
Okay.
But that is what I would suggest. So again, it's DHA fats, which is different from EPA. EPA heart health, DHA is going to be the brain health. And remember, Define Nation, this segment brought to you by Total Balance Apparel. Harmony in the parts of a whole, creating, evolving, and continuously seeking balance. Visit them today at totalbalanceusa.com. Hey, Define Nation, this is Danielle, and I have to let you guys know about Total Balance Apparel. Harmony in the parts of a whole to create, evolve, and continuously seeking balance in the quality of life and environment are the driving factors and thoughts behind Total Balance. These principles come to life in the designs and the collections. Their 2015 collection is absolutely amazing, totally a trendsetter. Don't just live your balance, wear it. More than a brand, it's your lifestyle. Check out their 2015 line at totalbalanceusa.com. That's totalbalanceusa.com. Hey, Define Nation, this is Danielle from Define Your Health Strength Through Knowledge. When I'm out racking up the miles on my bike, safety is always top of mind, and that's why Giro is the only choice when it comes to my protective headgear. Giro uses the latest innovative proven technology of MIPS. That's multi-directional impact protection system. In both their snow and biking helmets, Giro is first rate and first in innovation. Giro is on the cutting edge of a new frontier through safety of the rider and championing the spirit. There simply isn't a better helmet whether you're hitting the road or on the slopes. Be daring and live your dreams. Always be safe with Giro. Visit them today at Giro.com. That's Giro.com. And we are back to Define Nation with our very special co-host, Phillip Crum from Speedy Printing. And Phillip, we just talked about some EPA and DHA. What's next on the list?
Well, first I want to know this whole EPA fat thing. Is that like a government program? Because I don't want the government in my brain fat.
No. No, it's not. It might be a little bit of a fishy scandal.
Yeah,
but
something's fishy here.
Yeah, fishy.
All right. Well, anyway, William J. from Dallas, Texas, he wants to know why is fiber so important for losing weight? Fiber, how does it help you lose weight?
All right, so first of all, there's two different types of fiber. You have soluble fiber and you have insoluble fiber. So I want you to think of insoluble fiber as your salad that you might have ate today. Roughage, so in other words, any kind of lettuce, that type of thing. That's soluble, or an insoluble fiber, excuse me. Insoluble fiber kind of acts as, hey, my drain's a little bit stuck and I pour some Drano down there and it gets it to start flowing. Soluble fiber is really the powerhouse of the two. Soluble fiber are things like whole grains, oats, great example, easiest thing that you can really point out. You eat soluble fiber and it actually pulls and drags from around the colon walls. Now that's important for overall health, of course. But the other reason why it's important is when you break down fat, right? Because everybody wants to break down fat. Well, the fat just doesn't go poof and it disappears. No, you break it down, but it has to be evacuated from the body. Evacuation from the body happens one of two ways, Phil. And that second way is where soluble fiber comes in.
I like evacuation, but go ahead.
So the evacuation from the colon is where soluble fiber comes into play. You can't just break down the fat. The fat needs to be evacuated through the body in one of those two ways. Primarily, it's going to come out through the feces, although some does come out through the urine. Soluble fiber is key because you can't just break it down. You got to evict it as well.
Evict. Right. I'm liking this. All right. We got a couple of GMO questions here.
Uh-oh.
What's a GMO?
A GMO is a genetically modified organism.
Ah.
No,
well, Jennifer G. from Naperville, Illinois. Is anybody from Naperville, Illinois? Well, Jennifer is. Jennifer is. She wants to know, what was the organization, what's the name of that organization that's fighting GMOs in the U.S. of America?
Well, that was actually Diana Reeves, who is the founder. She was on a few weeks ago on the show. That's GMO Free USA, and just GMOFreeUSA.org. Excellent nonprofit organization. They really are spearheading the fight here in the U.S.
Okay, so on that same tone here, Sarah from Miami, Florida. Sarah B.
Miami.
They probably have more than one. Sarah B. in Miami, Florida. She wants to know, how can you tell if products are non-GMO?
Well, the easiest thing to do is look for products who have been non-GMO verified. Now, we talked on that particular show about Project Non-GMO. They have a logo that has a little butterfly on it. Most people who are informed about nutrition or shop regularly to avoid GMOs are going to notice this logo. All you got to do is just go to Google Images, and just type in non-GMO project, and you'll see that logo pop up. That's the easiest thing to do. The real key here, though, is if it's processed, more than likely it's going to have GMOs in it. So some of the crops in the United States that are, very hard to find non-GMO are things like sugar beets, things like corn, things like soy, things like cotton. So if you're seeing something that's processed, so if you're going in the store and you're buying Oreos, I guarantee you Oreos are going to have some sort of GMO in it. If you're buying some sort of a processed sugary cereal, more than likely that's going to have GMOs in it. The easiest thing for me to give her as advice is think unpeel, not unwrapped. Remember that the dead aisles in the supermarket are those aisles right in the middle. That's not your produce, not your dairy, and not any kind of a frozen section. Those are the dead aisles in the middle. You want to stay away from those simply. Also remember that if you don't know what something is and you can't pronounce it, more than likely your body isn't going to know either. So when you go down through an ingredients list, read the labels first of all. But if you go down and you see hydrogenated sulfonate something, benzite, whatever might be on the end of that, if you don't know what that is, your body's not going to understand what it is either, and more than likely it's going to be something that your body simply can't flush or can't process.
So if it has a dash or the letter Z in it, it's probably not good.
More than likely.
Okay. Now, so what's wrong with unnatural modification?
Well, you have to understand that a GMO is when you're
That question is from Phillip from Dallas.
When you're in a lab, you have to understand that what they're doing is they're creating, and I think the example that we actually used on the show is, think about if you mated a cat and a dog together. A cat and a dog are not supposed to be mated together, right? It would be an oddity to see a dogats or whatever you want to call it. That's essentially what they're doing with these GMO produce. So, in other words, like the apple that they're testing right now, that's a GMO apple. Well, they're testing it so it doesn't brown. You know, that's the whole modification. So they're actually altering the DNA of the apple with some sort of a chemical or some sort of a synthetic replication of what that DNA structure is. The bad side of that is we don't have any long-term effects. I mean, if you look at GMO, the European Union outlawed them. I mean, you actually cannot bring things like Hershey's Kisses or Oreos into the European Union. They consider it toxic. Getting it through customs is not something you can do. And Americans go, oh my God. Well, that's because the studies that they have done have been studies that showed you have cancerous tumors that come from this. Long-term effect studies are just something that they don't feel comfortable with because of what they've seen in the short term, which is not something that the United States has really put a great deal of effort into. Unfortunately, my personal opinion is that we have a lot of lobbyists in the United States that come from very big business. Agricultural business is big business. There's a lot of companies like your Kellogg's of the world, like your Nestle's of the world, that you're talking about billions and billions of dollars of product. Obviously, that's not something that they want to see end. One of the most interesting things I think someone can do is Google the companies who have boycotted GMO labeling. When you look at that, if it's not harmful, why is it such a bad thing to tell me if it's in there or not? And so you kind of get into, back when you were in kindergarten, you know, what's that famous book, Everything I Needed to Learn, I Learned in Kindergarten? If you're trying to hide something, something's wrong with that. There's just not something that sits well. And so the short-term studies that we have on GMO show very negative effects, and there simply aren't any long-term studies. And
so what you're telling me is there are people in the world that have a problem with Oreos.
Yes, there are people.
I never would have thought it. We've touched a real nerve here with me.
So we'll get you some organic Oreos. How about
GMOs, that? Yes. Genetically modified Oreos.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
We could go on forever.
Oh, God. And on that note, Defy Nation, we're going to go to commercial break. Please remember that this segment is brought to you by Soy Joy, all natural fruit bars. Wherever you are, wherever you're headed, Soy Joy helps get you there. So grab some today. Delicious energy is waiting at us.soyjoy.com. That's us.soyjoy.com. Hey, Defy Nation, this is Danielle, and when I'm out logging the miles on my bike, eye protection is key. Whether it's thorn grass in New Mexico or the Texas sun pounding down, I trust my vision to Trifasi Optics. Trifasi not only offers superior protection from Mother Nature, but true comfort in their design. Top it off with high-performance style, and you can understand why they have been my only eyewear choice since participating in competitive cycling. Check out their full line of eyewear, including golf, tactical shooting, and water sports at TrifasiOptics.com. That's TIFOSIOPTICS.com. Hey, Defy Nation, this is Danielle. Now, you guys all know that I'm an avid cyclist, and the love of cycling has only grown from my first spin of the pedals. Because of my love for the sport, Richardson Bike Mart is my only choice when it comes to equipment, accessories, and the most knowledgeable cycle experts in DFW. Their massive selection is only outshined by the extent of cycling expertise and caring by the staff. Remember, choosing a bike is personal and precise, so make Richardson Bike Mart your only choice too. Visit them today in Frisco off John Hickman Parkway, Dallas off of Garland Road next to White Rock Lake, or the Richardson location at Campbell and Coit. Check them out at bikemart.com. That's BIKEMART.com. What's up, Defy Nation, and welcome back. We're here with our very funny and personable co-host, Phillip Crum, today from Speedy Printing. It seems like the one-stop shop from car wraps to business cards and everything in between. Phillip, we ended on our genetically modified Oreos. What is the next on the list that you want to know, and our listeners do too?
Well, I want your listeners to come by our shop, and I'll give them the free tour because I have a refrigerator in my office full of Soy Joy bars.
Oh, hey!
I mean, there's the connect right there, okay?
No, wait. For who introduced you to Soy Joy?
You did.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You did. You did. And you need to bring me some more of those
That's a high
pretzel
five.
things.
That's
Yes,
a high
that it is.
five.
There,
That's
there
awesome.
it is. Yeah, those are good. Those are good. Okay. You know what? Brenda S. from my hometown, Louisville, Texas.
Louisville, Texas.
Brenda S.
All right, Brenda,
Yes.
what's up?
Now I don't owe you any more money, Brenda S. Can you wants to know? Can you give me an example of a game that will get kids active that doesn't seem like a workout?
Absolutely.
I've got an answer for that too. When you're done. Go ahead.
This could be dangerous. Well, there's several different things that you can do with kids. The thing about getting kids involved in fitness is you do want to make it fun, because nobody likes doing chores. Nobody likes doing something they have to. And if kids get that negative connotation with fitness, you're setting behavioral patterns that can be very, very difficult to break later in life. One of my favorite games to play with kids is something that's pretty simple. Do you ever see those little orange cones that you can get that they use for soccer, and they're kind of a little bit flat to the ground? Mm-hmm. They're kind of like half cones. Well, what you do is you make 4 lines of those. Get yourself about 20 of them. Put 5 in each line. Turn the first row right side up, the way that they would normally be sitting. The second row, turn them upside down. The third row, put them right side up. And the fourth row, turn them upside down. Split kids on either side, whether you have 2 kids, whether it's just you and your child, or whether you have a group of kids. And you're going to time them. You're going to give them 2 minutes. And you're going to say, hey, this side, your objective, your side 1, your objective is to turn all those cones right side up. Side 2, your objective is to turn all those cones upside down. Whoever has the most cones that are either upside down or right side up, depending on what team you're on, wins. And you see that it becomes a really cool, fun experience. And it's not just that kids want to do it once. They're like, hey, let's do that again. Or, oh, we'll get you next time. And they're having fun. They're getting fitness. You're working on agility. You're working on cardiovascular. You're working on hand-eye coordination. You're working on team-building skills. And you're working on cognitive development. And you're having fun. And they never have to know that it's fitness, but you're getting your kids up and you're getting them active. And I bet you it's something that they'll want to do again.
Second part of Brenda's question is, how can I wear these little rascals out so they'll sleep well tonight? That's what
Play
you're
the
trying
game
to
for
do.
a couple hours.
That's right. You know what we do at our annual Christmas party? We play Twister.
Twister, yeah.
We play
it's
Twister.
a classic, but a goodie.
That's an interesting, yes. Okay, next question. Yes, I see it in your eyes. Okay. Lucas from Waynesville, North Carolina. We just hired a sales rep at our office from North Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yes, you can't say
it
anything
Wayne?
seriously with that accent. It's impossible to be serious
don't
with
make
that
me
accent.
break out my southern
Woo!
accent.
But
Okay.
Lucas wants to know, why are healthy fats more important for kids than adults?
Okay, so I wouldn't say that they're necessarily more important, but what you have to understand, especially going back to those DHA fats, I'm gonna make an example of those DHA fats. Understand that a child's brain is developing all the way up until, give or take, 22, 25. And I have a little bit of a range in there because everybody develops differently. Well, you have to understand that as that brain is developing and those cognitive patterns, those focus patterns, they're learning things like math, comprehension, science, things of this nature. You want to get those healthy fats in there because after the brain is developed, it will reach a certain point where the brain will stop growing. And you want to make sure that you get a nice, good foundation of those DHA fats into the child's diet. Now that's for brain health. Now let's talk about muscle development. We want to have kids that have good lean muscle tissue, right? We have an obesity epidemic in this country like none other. Type 2 diabetes is rampant. Lean muscle tissue is important. Well, lean muscle tissue comes from cells, okay? Well, that fat, good fat now we're talking about, good fat helps develop those cell membranes. So if you're getting good healthy fats, avocados, cashews, walnuts, chia seeds, hemp seeds, those kind of good fats into the diet, then that's also going to help the muscle development because you're giving the body what it needs to physically make the cell membranes. Which means if a child is working out or playing, like that cone game that we just had, then they're going to be developing muscle tissue at the same time. So there's 2 different sides to that. All of the fats are healthy. Remember that the body doesn't have a use for saturated fat. There's been a couple of studies that have come out that there's heart benefit to saturated fat. I won't go into naming names, but I would just Google who funded those studies. And then secondly, trans fats. Trans fats are something that absolutely shouldn't be in the diet. Remember that even if something on the packaging, going back to unpeel and not unwrap, even if it says that it's trans fat free, does not mean that it necessarily is. there's a certain percentage, and I want to say that it's 0.10, that's an allowance that you're allowed to have trans fats in there, and it's per serving that's listed on a nutritional label. So you don't want to have any trans fats. It says it's trans fat free, but what if you eat more than one serving of Doritos? I mean, there's not too many people that can just eat one serving of Doritos. Well, Doritos has trans fats in it, but they can say that it's trans fat free because they fit within the threshold of what's allowed. So there's several different things whenever you're talking about fats, but good fats, muscle development, and brain development.
It sounds like you're telling me that no doesn't always mean no.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Read those labels. If you don't know what it is, your body will not either.
My wife told me a very simple way to remember the good fat, bad fat thing.
Lay it on me.
She said bad fat is that stuff around your middle. And good fat is something on somebody else. That's how I remember it.
I like your wife.
That's how I remember it. All right. Shayona. I hope I got that right. Shayona R. I got her last name right, though. Okay. Shayona R. from Highland Park, Texas. It wins the award for the most cerebral question of the day. On your show about plant-based eating, your guest said soy was not harmful to thyroid function, except when you're on medication. Can you explain a little more?
Okay, well, and that was a great show, and that was our guest, Sharon Palmer, who's a registered dietitian, author, speaker. She's amazing. Let me clarify. So there's a misconception out there that soy is bad for thyroid function. So in other words, if you eat soy, then your thyroid function is going to decline. And of course, thyroid function leads to a multitude of things in the body, but most people associate it with energy levels and or weight gain. So what Sharon was basically explaining is there are no studies, or there are very few studies that have any kind of validity linking eating regular consumption of soy to thyroid decline if you have a healthy thyroid already. Okay, so again, if you have a healthy thyroid already, soy has not been shown to affect it. But if you're on thyroid medication, like Synthroid, that's a very common one that's out there, there are some side effects of eating soy with medication. Now, those side effects are not significant whatsoever, but they are there. That's something that we do have to address. So if you have normal thyroid function, you're good. If you have some sort of medication that you're on, then there might be some sort of slight effects.
Well, that's good to hear, because I do take thyroid medicine, and yes, I have a jar of soybeans at home, so I should stay away from it. Right? Right? Dance around it. Okay.
Oh, good Lord.
Brandon wants to know. Brandon's from Richardson, Texas.
Okay.
Right
down
up the street.
road.
Right up the street. And he wants to know, what's the relationship between cortisol and weight gain?
All right. So let me make this one real simple. Cortisol is probably one of the most misunderstood hormones in the entire human body. Most people say, oh, I'm stressed out, I have cortisol, I'm going to get belly fat. It just automatically comes. No, that's absolutely incorrect. Remember that cortisol is a hormone. Cortisol is going to affect the area of your brain that craves carbohydrates. So if you are stressed, yes, your body is going to release cortisol. Cortisol is going to make you want to crave carbohydrates. Now, 50 years ago, carbohydrates were probably good carbohydrates. Today, they're the Snickers bar, the Doritos, or the Fritos, or whatever it is in the vending machine. What that does is when you have overconsumption of those empty, non-nutritionally dense calories, is the fact that it's going to lead to weight gain because you're eating too many calories. We're simply not burning the calories that we're intaking.
If I hear you right, you're telling me there's an area of the brain specifically controlling Oreo urges.
Yeah, well, yes, you could say that. Oreos and or any other type of carbohydrate. Remember that when we were cave people, fats and carbohydrates is what we craved. It's ingrained in us. It's hardwired in us. There is no way around it. We want that because when we were cave people, we never knew when our next meal was going to come.
How did they know about Oreos? Well, anyway, Lisa D wants to know, is gluten-free a good rule for everyone?
I personally do not believe so. I think there's a lot of positive attributes to gluten. Remember that gluten was where protein comes from in bread and pasta and that type of thing. Although I think that for people who have celiac disease, I think that, yeah, you should absolutely stay away from it. Now, remember that gluten and wheat in general was one of the very first GMO crops. So that is a big red flag to me. So if you are eating bread or pasta, remember, go organic, search out organic. But gluten for an everyday person, my opinion, I don't believe there's any reason to banish it or stay away from it.
Is there such a thing as a gluten-free Oreo?
I don't know. You might want to invent that.
I got to find this stuff out here while I'm here.
You have to. I'm telling you what.
All right.
Well, Phillip, I tell you what, we are going to have to wrap with that last question. It has been an absolute pleasure having you here. Maybe we can come back and talk about signs again.
Maybe. I may wrap my car in a big Oreo now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, my goodness. Okay,
I appreciate it.
If any of you guys see an Oreo car driving around the DFW Metroplex, that is Phillip with his Oreo car. Define Nation, remember, we're going to post that trivia question for the $500 prize pack. And as always, remember, motivated, dedicated, and highly recommended. Bye-bye.
For 20 years, Nordic Naturals has been dedicated to making the best fish oil on the planet. Their motivation? The heartfelt belief that a single nutrient can change lives. Their love for what they do and the people they do it for drives them to do it right at any cost. That means products that are outrageously fresh, obsessively tested, and passionately perfected. Products that taste so pure, you'll love them. Try Nordic Naturals award-winning omega-3s today and taste pure love. Available at natural product stores nationwide or at nordicnaturals.com.